In this episode of Denoised, the Academy sets new rules on how films can use AI.
A new AI model for long-form video called Test Time Training.
And Descript teases a new feature for Vibe video editing. Let's get into it. All right, welcome back to Denoised. Adi, good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
I found out today is the day we are recording this is the 20th anniversary of YouTube. It is the 20th anniversary that the first video was ever uploaded.
Wow, I feel old. It's been 20 years. Although I have been using YouTube very early on, as I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I remember, I think we talked about this a few episodes ago too, where I remember back in the day, it was like, especially in film school, and they make your film and it's like, do I put it on YouTube or do I put it on Vimeo, where like film cinema is. Yeah. And YouTube was sort of the kind of weird, cat video place.
Yeah, well, the aha moment for me was when a buddy of mine wanted to share like something that happened on Hollywood Boulevard. It was like, late night, after hours. And I was like, send it to me. I want to see the video. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I uploaded it to YouTube. Just sent me the link. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I don't think people under our age realize how complicated it was to play video on the web, because you would have to upload the video. And if someone wanted to play it, they'd basically be downloading the video file. It was common practice to upload like 3 different versions of your video, like small, medium, and large. Yes. Depending on their bandwidth, they could pick which option they wanted. Yeah.
AVI, MP3, MP4.
DivX. Yeah, I forgot about DivX. And the original YouTube was built with Flash, right? Wasn't it Flash?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they eventually switched to HTML5, and I have no idea what it is now.
Yeah, it's probably its own unique ecosystem of tools. But do you remember our very first mobile phone playback of YouTube?
I remember the iPhone, one of the big features was YouTube was a built-in app.
Crazy.
And I remember the first time seeing someone who had an iPhone and then they played a video back. Yeah. And it was like, oh man, this crazy moment where you're just like kind of like a glass brick you're holding in your hand and it's just playing a video.
There's no buttons
on borders, no buttons, just like a smooth piece of glass with the video playing.
Yeah.
No, I feel like we've aged ourselves a lot.
No, those moments of amazement that we had, I compare it to like the first time I saw Sora's like that preview video. Yeah. This is like 2 years ago?
Not a year ago.
A year ago.
It was a year ago.
Time flies. And it's the same level of amazement. Whoa, AI can generate an entire video?
Yeah, I think I had dismissed it because I think I saw the clips and then I was like, I think I had kept scrolling like, that's a reference video or something. That's not the AI output. And then I realized I'm like, what?
No, that's the real deal.
Yeah. All right. Actually, before I get rolling, real quick, we appreciate all the love and support, but we have a favor to ask you. If you are enjoying this podcast, we've been getting a lot of love, usually on LinkedIn, sometimes in the YouTube comments, and that is amazing. If you want to copy and paste those comments onto Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts, besides YouTube, that is the best way to help people discover this podcast and for it to grow. Podcasts are notoriously tricky and hard, and it's also crazy because podcasts are about 20 years old, a little bit more than 20 years old.
Really?
I believe. It's funny. I was doing a short film in college on life hacking when it was an early concept, and it was like lifehacker.com and stuff. And the guy who created the term life hack, it was nominated for Word of the Year, I think in 2003. Okay. And it lost out to podcast, which was the Word of the Year.
Amazing. I think the pod comes from iPod.
I believe so, right, because it was an Apple sort of developed thing.
It was on iTunes.
Right, with the RSS feeds and all. Yeah, you had to host it yourself. Anyways, 20 years later, they still have not really improved how people discover podcasts. So the ratings are one of the biggest ways that the podcasts go up in the ranks and people discover it. So if you would not mind, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. We would appreciate it.
We really appreciate it. And we want to bring you denoised news and have this have not just value on your career and on your professional life, but also a little bit of fun. We like to laugh and riff on things, and we hope you enjoy the conversation.
All right. And speaking of interesting things and AI, we've talked about this before, but now there's an official ruling with new rules from the Academy Awards, and they have officially clarified their stance on generative AI.
No AI, right?
No. They said they're looking at it as it is a tool. Wow. And you are free to use this tool. Basically, there's literally just one paragraph in the new rules. I'll just read it because it's pretty short.
Sure.
With regard to generative artificial intelligence and other digital tools used in the making of the film, the tools neither help nor harm the chances of achieving a nomination. The Academy and each branch will judge the achievement, taking into account the degree to which a human was at the heart of the creative authorship when choosing which movie to award.
That's fair and square.
Yeah, it's a tool, as we've been talking about, and as they see it. And I felt, where do you draw the line? We talked about this before. Where do you draw the line if you're like going to track what generative AI went into a project and at what stage? And, so yeah, I think this is a smart decision.
Yeah, the Academy really unlocked a lot of filmmakers in today's world, I think, with this simple paragraph, because you're up against crazy budgets and crazy resource limitations. And there are these tools that are incredibly helpful, but you're not sure if you use them, then your project gets disqualified from the Oscar. So now I think this alleviates a lot of concern. Of course, you can't just generate something fully and have little to no human involvement and expect to win an Oscar. That's just never going to happen.
No, and I think that that's where the voting comes in, and you would not get nominated or voted. I mean, I am a little wondering, because it's the second part. Each branch will judge the achievement, taking into account the degree to which a human was at the heart of the creative authorship. How do you know that? How do you, is it based on interviews? Is it based on, I think, director statements after the fact? How do you...
One good thing about the Academy, I will say, is they're incredibly technically capable, because the people that are on the SciTech committee and stuff, they're very well aware of all the AI tools and the practices. So when the short list of movies gets to the top of the chain, and my guess is there'll be a vetting process, there'll be a formal Q&A process, and they'll quickly determine if the usage of AI was in line with their expectations or not.
Yeah, and then the voting members can make that decision, which, as it should be. I mean, the peers are voting on peers, and it's their call if they feel like it was authored enough by human or went too far with AI use, depending, we'll see how that plays out in the next few years.
Yeah, one of the things that I always wonder about is visual medium, frames of an image, that's pretty easy, at least to me, to see, what part of it was traditional CG or AI, based on knowing about the pipeline or talking to the VFX supervisor. You can quickly determine, is the use of AI here fair use and good, it enabled a filmmaker in a certain way? Or is it just unethical, if you will? Sound and composing music, that stuff gets way murkier. Have you used Suno? Some of the stuff on Suno sounds really good.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell.
As a background beat or something.
Yeah. And it's hard to tell how much human intervention went there, right? If you mix a Suno track with the human tracks and a human played instrument.
Or if you use it to generate some sort of, some background beat or something.
Yeah.
A track and instrument that gets mixed in with the real instruments. Where does that?
I don't know enough about audio production at the highest level to kind of weigh in, but my guess is other use of AI outside of frames will come into play as well, all aspects of filmmaking.
Yeah, and I would assume, if you use tracks on your soundtrack that were completely generated with Suno, that would disqualify you from best for a best score nomination or something.
Yeah, especially because I think Suno as a platform is still a question mark on how they train their model.
And what the outputs are, and if they're copyright
Correct.
clear or protectable.
Yeah.
I mean, also I don't think that's the Academy's job to make those calls, but obviously that's up to each production and studio to figure out as well, what is there, since the copyright stuff is still a bit up in the air as far as, are the outputs protectable? That's more of a project to project decision.
Does this feel like it's a step in the right direction?
Yeah, I thought some of the early things, what were some of the early ones early ideas was, possibly disclosing or tracking all the use. That just seemed a bit kind of cumbersome, and where do you draw the line of...
You're going to need a whole overhead department to monitor the use of AI.
Yeah.
Where's that budget coming from?
The pitch deck that I made 3 years ago, that I used some AI generated images, but that maybe never came into play again after we got funding. Where do you draw the line of tracking what tools and stuff get used? So I think this makes sense. It's it's a tool, and it's up to the voting body to kind of make the call on their peers.
Goes back to the James Cameron little title card on Avatar, the next one.
Oh, no generative AI was used.
I guess you don't really need that.
Yeah, but I'll be curious if they kind of just remove that when the film does come out.
Yeah.
If people had forgotten about that, or maybe there's more acceptance of AI or less bias. I don't know about the bias thing, as we talked about the last episode, where people were biased against AI generated stuff, but didn't have a preference if it was AI generated.
The public bias won't go away overnight. That'll take a long time, possibly years, because AI is not just impacting media and entertainment, it's impacting automotive and industry and quote unquote taking away jobs, so like there is a negative connotation across the board. Although I see it as an enabler in all those industries. Like the same person can now do their work better. They can, the company can output twice as much and so on. Having said that, the financial reasons why AI is getting adopted in M&E is like rock solid, right? Like if they see, like Ted Sarandos, if they see a 10% efficiency, they're going to go for it.
Why would you not?
Why would you not?
Yeah. If the tools are there and if it keeps the quality the same and for the most part keeps the same amount of people employed.
Yeah, I went to a dinner party a couple of weeks ago and somebody sort of reminded me what we already knew. It was like people getting in the way of technical progress never really fared well, like throughout history.
Yeah, it's the Indiana Jones boulder, it's coming.
Yes.
So like, I'd rather get ahead of it than get crushed on it or have a spear impale me. The other interesting thing that came out of the new rules for the Academy Awards that I think also got more attention than our little AI corner is now you're required to actually watch the films to vote on them.
You mean the whole time there was voting done without watching the film?
There was not a requirement or a rule that said you had to watch the films before voting on them.
Oh boy.
You need to watch all of the nominated films to vote in your category. All the films in your category to vote in your category. I'm guessing this is probably more of a tech thing where it's just like too hard to enforce and track that in the past. But lately there is basically like a Netflix-ish streaming platform for Academy members where they can watch all of the films. And so that's obviously trackable. So they can track if you use that system, if you played it. And then I think I saw some reporting somewhere else where like if you see it at one of the Academy screenings or something, you have to just like, I don't know, send a ticket stub or provide proof that you like saw the movie. But they are tracking it. I'm guessing it's more of just the tech is easier to implement this.
Yeah, I mean, the Academy members at that high level, they're very busy people, right? So maybe they just don't have 10 hours. Like if it's 5 nominations at 2 hours.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But then don't vote.
A
lot of times it turns into, people voting for their friend or more just, I mean, that is a lot of the art of Oscar campaigning and stuff of like, is it really for like the merit worthiness of the film versus there's a story behind the actress or the film or something and people are kind of voting for the story or voting because they're
end of the day you should vote for the person. You should vote for the end product.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, or at the very least, watch everything that is nominated and then make a decision, even if your decision is biased. Which I mean, sure, of course, there's going to be bias. Yeah, so glad technology is helping there.
Dude, the Academy is doing some good stuff over there.
But overall a good one. And then also they've got a new award, casting director is a new award, and then in a few years they're having stunt coordinator.
Oh, they added a new category?
They added a new category.
Stunt coordinator.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's rolling out in 28.
So John Wick's going to win that one?
If they just bust out a John Wick's 5 or 6 by then.
Yeah, I heard the John Wick franchise is going to keep going and possibly have a couple more spin-offs.
Yeah, well, they got the Ana de Armas one coming out, Ballerina, this summer. Yeah. So maybe Ballerina 2 or 3 will have the stunt coordinator Oscar win. Excited to see that. What do you think about, because there's always talk, it's like if they add more awards, then the telecast is going to get longer, and with the more technical awards, general population gets bored. I'm for if they want to move the shorts off broadcast. I feel like the shorts are always a kind of a weird thing because I like
the shorts.
Never seen them, never heard of them. I'm not saying get rid of the category. I'm just saying, does it need to be on the telecast?
Yes, because that is the quote unquote DEI version of including the small, low budget filmmakers who can't afford to make a feature. This is their chance at the highest level.
I mean, they can still get the award and they can still get honored, and it's still
just don't included in the broadcast, you're saying?
Yeah, because no one, I mean, it's really hard to see these films, and unless sometimes some of them were like, I think the one that won a few years ago was like an LA Times documentary produced on one of the music schools or something.
Okay,
but I mean, for the most part, it's like no one's ever heard of these films or seen them.
That's their. I mean, if you go to,
you can't even watch. I mean, it's very hard to even watch them unless they're already playing somewhere online.
It's about the recognition. So
they can still get recognized.
And nobody wants to be recognized off camera, I don't think.
No, but these are shorts. I'm saying as someone who the closest I've ever come to like Academy Awards was I had a film that was shortlisted, didn't actually make the qualifying process, but it qualified for the Academy Awards for a short doc.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, won the best doc at a festival that qualified it to like be nominated.
Okay.
Was not actually nominated, but that was the closest it ever came.
Yeah.
I would totally understand if it was like, oh, hey, cool, your short doc was nominated, but like it's not going to be on the telecast because, but you can still go to the governor's ball, whatever the award's saying, where we will present the award and announce it. It's just not going to be on TV. I would understand that. Yeah. If it also cleared up spots for like other roles that worked on feature films.
I guess to your point, like the Academy Award, even just a nomination can make careers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And you don't need TV coverage for that.
No, yeah. I mean, even if you could say I'm Academy Award nominated director.
Yeah.
Even if the nomination was for best animated short or like still worthy enough. Yeah.
The Academy's probably under pressure to change the format of the show as we're moving through time, right? Like it's a very classical format. It's very long. And now we have shorter attention spans. There's YouTube. There's all these other things. So my guess is like they're just going to keep doing what they're doing and hope that it's just so etched into pop culture that they don't really need to change. It's kind of like Saturday Night Live. Like that format is from the 70s, right? And now they're like still producing the show as is, but then they're chopping up bits and putting it on YouTube as shorts, and they're sort of modernizing with the times. But something like the Oscars, something like the Super Bowl, it just has to be the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not for cutting out any of the technical awards. Like, remember a few years ago, they kind of mixed it up and they gave out, I think it was like best editor and sound mixer, either during the commercial break or it was like some weird thing where they just like walked down the aisle and like handed them the award and they didn't really get to do a speech. It was bizarre and weird and
that's not good.
And there was a lot of backlash, I think rightly so. So like, I am not for that. I think just keep it focused on the features.
Yeah.
Of all technical levels. Look, I mean, there's a sound design and sound mixing award. 99.9% of people have no idea what the difference is. I have a hard time explaining the difference, like why there's two separate awards for that. But don't cut that. I mean, that's still part of the art of filmmaking.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking about sound design and sound.
All right. But yeah, if you got opinions about, modifying the Academy Award broadcast, let us know.
Give us a shout.
Should the short stay on or should they go to the streaming service? All right. Next story. Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, one of my favorite cartoons as a kid. I'm dating myself, but this is before computer-generated Pixar-style animation. Tom and Jerry is what a lot of older millennials grew up on.
There was a period, I don't know if it's the same with you, but like Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a period where they seemed to have stopped making new cartoons.
Yes.
And so a lot of the stuff was the 1960s, 70s Hanna-Barbera reruns.
Like Flintstones and Jetsons.
Scooby-Doo, Johnny Quest, the original Johnny Quest, not the remake Johnny Quest. Yeah, that and Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, that whole Bugs Bunny. So yeah, I love Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
So NVIDIA and Stanford.
A bunch of universities. So we're talking about Stanford, UC San Diego, UC Berkeley, with NVIDIA at the helm. They created a new video generation model called test time training. So right now with video generation, one of the big issues is length, right? And I think you and I were talking about this. The longer of a video you have, the longer the temporal consistency has to be from frame to frame to frame. So naturally, the heavier weight, the memory, if you will, of the AI model has to be. It just has to remember what the attention was on each frame as you progress through the frame.
Right. And the more frames, it's got to like go look back.
Yes.
To make sure that the whole thing makes sense. But every time it looks back, I believe it's now like logarithmically expanding. It's not like, if it's a 1 second or 2 seconds.
It's logarithmic.
Yeah. 3 seconds that it just adds one. It's like, no, now it's like logarithmically the amount of tokens and memory it needs. It gets astronomical.
Absolutely. And that's one of the main reasons why video generation is so much more compute intense than image generation. So this research paper goes through a new training model called test time training, where they reduce that compute overhead by a big factor. And they are also able to get super temporal consistency to the point where they could generate, in the case of Tom and Jerry, a 1 minute video, which is unheard of from a single generation. Yeah.
And so do you know, like, what is test time training doing that is different?
So what it's doing is essentially on the attention layer side. Attention in an AI model, I know it sounds like a very vague term. So when an AI model generates something, it has to focus, it has to put attention to the thing that it's generating and also cross attention to other things in the frame. And then it also has to have self-attention, which is that in the last frame, it generated Tom. So now in this frame, it has to generate Tom. So that's self-attention. And then Jerry would be like a cross-attention because it's another thing in the same frame. So there are all these attention mechanisms built into the video generation model. This has, I think, a different fundamental attention hierarchy.
Is it basically, instead of reviewing the entire video, kind of learning within itself while it's making the video, so it doesn't have to review the entire thing?
Yeah, so they released the paper as well as code, so you can actually build this into your video generation model, which is super nice. Sounds like where a typical video generation happens is you go back in the number of frames and the attention has to be through frames. So you're talking about, in a 24 frame per second video, 30 milliseconds of attention span at a time. TTT is doing it with 3-second segments of attention units. And so because the time span is much longer, it's able to actually store a lot more information about each of those 3-second segments, which results in more consistency in the next 3-second segment and the next one and so on. So instead of just having a frame reference, it's having a sequence, a shot reference, if you will. So it's just a higher level of abstraction. I'm not sure how they achieved it, but it seems like it's computationally as efficient as a regular video generation model.
Yeah, and it is a way where it can kind of just figure it out as it's going along, which is versus looking at the entire thing again. And so there was a sample video of like a minute long Tom and Jerry
Can
video.
we take a look?
Yeah. So we got the scene. And so the interesting thing was the inputs were basically, they did have to give it a text input. The text is a little bit jumbled.
Yeah. That walk cycle wasn't that great there.
Yeah, and also no people are moving. But Tom looks great. I mean, this looks like Tom. This looks like an animated Tom.
Yeah, even the style of the world is very consistent.
Yeah, and there's a computer, which also it's like that would not have been in the original Tom and Jerry training. So,
right.
I mean, the keyboard is jumbled, but it still works. His mannerisms are like still so good, and so is Jerry.
Yeah, like he's hitting the poses that.
Yeah, Jerry just disappeared there, but look, the feet, the spinning motion of the feet is there. The like behaviorisms,
and even when he hits the wall, that like comic book explosion thing,
dust explosion.
Oh, I love this dog here.
Yeah,
no, he's the bully, right?
But so to make this, they had to give it a text input, basically a detailed shot list,
right?
But it's still a single text input. And this entire minute-long video was the output. I wonder if the fade out was even part of it too.
Yeah, because the original show had that same fade out.
Yeah.
This is so impressive because you feel like that could never be a single generation.
Right. You look at that and you're like, oh, I'd have to like generate shot, and then edit it together myself.
Every time you do that, you're going to have discrepancy between the shots, right? Because you're going to, that shade of color is different than this shade of color, whatever.
Yeah. But the thing that this unlocks, if this is able to, kind of roll out they trained it on, I think, billions of parameters of like Tom and Jerry material. So it has a lot of training data. But if this could roll out into, give it a single character image or something, that could be huge because it unlocks the issue, we have of like consistent characters, where right now it's a lot of the process is create a character sheet and then try to create the frames you want with a consistent character. And then you give that to Runway or Pika or Luma or whatever to generate your videos.
Correct.
But if you could give it your, one character and then be like, oh, make a sequence with the same character, that unlocks having like much more consistent characters, environment, scenes, if it's all being able to be done in a single generation.
It's so cool. And then on the topic of character consistency, it's more difficult now to have multiple character consistency. So like having Tom and Jerry in the same frame and then have them in a next frame, like without distortion, that's difficult. And they seem to be doing it without the step that you mentioned of generating the frames and then feeding that into a video generator.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Awesome paper. And this came out a few weeks ago and it came out like right before NAB. So I was preoccupied. We were preoccupied.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come back and revisit this because I think it was really impressive what this unlocked and what, kind of this could lead to in the future.
Yeah. I think we're going to see longer length video generation from like the commercial manufacturers like Runway and so on very soon, because why not, right? And now you're at an upper limit of maybe I think 20 seconds with those guys, and now you're going to a minute, and then who knows, maybe in a few months we're going to push to 5 minutes.
Generation and shots. switching shots too, because it's like one thing, because like a lot of times there's like, if you make a minute long POV drone flying video, it's like cool, but what am I gonna do with that? But yeah, if you can give it like they did with Tom and Jerry, where it's like, oh, here is our shot list that we need, and then you generate that.
I wonder if at this sort of a mid-quality level, can an artist go in manually and fix all those things we noticed and have it usable, like even at this level?
Oh, like just come in and clean it up?
Yeah, like a paint fix.
Probably. Yeah, I mean,
it's already so usable.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this could probably unlock a lot for even just YouTube kid cartoons.
Yep. Oh, big market over there.
Yeah. All right. And then our last story, Descript, video editor app.
We covered Descript before.
We've covered Descript before. I'm a big fan. I also think there's a lot of things they can improve from a professional video editing standpoint. But they have teased basically Vibe video editing. So they are in private beta right now, rolling out, but they rolled out a launch video for basically a chat interface inside Descript where you just have a conversation and kind of tell it what you want, and it edits the video based on your feedback.
I think that's a intermediate step. Like, we're not going to be prompting our way through video editing. Ultimately, video editing will be done through a timeline. It's just that it'll be a lot easier of a timeline task than how it is today. Yeah,
I mean, I don't think any editing tool can get around. Like, I think this is interesting because, you know, I've seen other text-based video editing tools. I've messed around with like Edit AI. I didn't really think it was quite there. And it was just a text prompt interface. It gives you back the thing. You either take it or leave it, and then you could send it to your video editor, but you can't like manipulate the timeline there. Descript, because it's all built in, you have this chat interface. It uses the already existing AI tools that Descript has started adding, but then it's making the changes to your composition, which is either the text-based interface that Descript is known for. I think I still think they have the best text-based editor, or you can pop up the timeline on the bottom, and then, you know, if you're familiar with the timeline editing, same exact interface, it's there. You can manipulate and fine tune this stuff. Some of the examples they're giving where, I mean, a lot of their use cases are more on the social media, marketing video end. I've probably pushed it to the limit of like what it can do, giving it hours and hours of interview footage. But their main use case that they focus on is like podcast editing, you know, angle switching, layouts, trimming out bits and
low-hanging fruit
stuff. Yeah, marketing videos, tutorial videos, very much geared towards like content creators and marketing teams. And so the use cases are targeted for that, where you can give it, you know, a text instruction of like clean up this interview or like edit this interview and, you know, switch, add B-roll shots. And then it kind of understands the context of what should be shown there. I think in the demo, it also included some examples of, you know, the person is talking about this thing in this B-roll shot, so we should like edit that here. So interesting, promising.
Yeah. And I think for the market they're targeting, like the more consumer end of things, maybe this is enough. I do think the winning formula is in the hands of Resolve and Premiere. The way you can bring in generative elements into Premiere now, like a B-stock footage or whatever, or extend the timeline past what it's capable of, generatively fill it. In Resolve, you can do the rotoscoping, the matting, the power windows, podcast, camera switching, all with AI. Like, adding AI super tools into an existing timeline-based tool, I think that's the way it's eventually going to go.
For sure. And especially for professional video editors that are already working in these tools.
Like these content creators, when they get big enough, the video is handled by a professional video editor.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like a small intermediate step where they don't have enough technical know-how to really produce a polished edited video. And for that, Descript is perfect.
Or even just if you're looking, I mean, even if you have a professional video editor and you're just looking to put out more content. I mean, this is a bottleneck we have right now, like with all the NAB stuff, where it was like, you know, I brought on some additional editors, but even with that, it was like between editing the videos, but then also like we want to edit short clips and social media clips. And so, you know, we're using Opus for that, but Opus you still have to clean up. It's just turned into bottlenecks of like getting everything out that we want to get out. And so, if these tools can help speed up an editor to, like we talked about before a lot, like get the first cut, and then they can come in and clean it up, or help automate like finding good moments for social media clips and cropping it, you know, tracking the face and cropping it for vertical and adding the captions, and then maybe grabbing some relevant B-roll or something to make it more interesting. You know, that stuff will be huge and helping unlock just what a single editor or a team can do.
Absolutely. Do you think the way Descript is now, it would actually help you for all the NAB bottlenecks you're having, like just the way it is now.
My biggest issue with Descript is it's in the way that we use it. It's a one-directional pipeline because it's like the stuff has to start in Descript, and then they have good export options to send it to like export an XML, the timeline, and bring it into Resolve or whatever. But once it's out, it's out. It's like not like there's no
back and forth. We
do sometimes re-import the final exports of the video just to do captions because their text editor is nicer and their captioning is pretty good.
Right.
And it's easier to edit and clean up the just the captions in Descript. We could do the social media edits in Descript, but just Opus is better at identifying the good moments because their model is like only trained on doing that.
Right.
So it's very good at that. Their editor is not the best. I wish if Descript could identify the clips better, then I think we could just do all of these short clips in Descript. Though in Resolve 20 now they have dynamic captions. And like, you know, I'm a big fan of like if we can keep it all in the same app, it just speeds everything up because like
it's not
single source of truth. Everyone could be in the Resolve project. You know, editor still working on the videos. You know, social media person could be working on cutting out the short clips. That would be ideal, but it's still
ways out.
Still not there. I mean, Resolve can make the short clips, but there's nothing in it to help identify what's a good moment.
Yeah, it's still very standard. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's very standard in post-production to go from Premiere to Resolve and back because sometimes Resolve is the stronger color grading tool and Premiere is the strong
for color editing
tool. So you gotta
I would argue it was to a point, but I mean more and more people that I talk to are switching to Resolve for editing because their editing features are on par with Premiere.
100%. Resolve is the closest to what you describe as like all-in-one suite.
Yeah.
Right, it has Fusion, close enough to Nuke. You can do some compositing.
And After Effects, Fairlight, their audio mixing tool, which is about on par with like Audition or something. I don't remember enough about Pro Tools. I'm sure Pro Tools users would say it is not on par with Pro Tools, but for, you know, everyone else, good enough if you need to do audio mixing.
I think if you're running a professional recording studio and mixing like 100 different tracks, you need Pro Tools.
Yeah.
But for most things, I think either Adobe Auditions or Fairlight is good enough.
Yeah. I think it's what we've talked about before, like the super app or the, you know, all in one spot.
Yeah.
Or if they open up their, you know, Resolve is pretty good with scripting and a console.
Correct.
Where it can connect to other tools and let tools manipulate and do things in the timeline or with the media pool. So, you know, if they could be that platform and that let other third-party tools come in and interact with it, that could also open up.
I see Premiere and Adobe's API more robust on that sense. Like, I don't know if it's just me. I just see a lot more plugins that are available for After Effects and Premiere.
I do. I see a lot, panels, built-in things. I see that a lot more. Than Resolve, and I don't know if it's a Resolve limitation or just more of the market was on Premiere, so it made more sense to build for Premiere.
Yeah.
But more and more companies I talk to, it's like if they don't already have something for Resolve, it's like coming soon. It's on our pipeline because I think more and more editors are adapting Resolve or using it more and more, not just for finishing or onlining and coloring, but for actual editing.
For sure. I mean, it doesn't make sense for a company like Descript or Quickture to develop a plugin for Premiere or Resolve. And I'll tell you why. Like from a business perspective, the revenue is keeping the customers within your walled garden, to have them use your cloud storage, to have them use your editing software, you know, just do everything as much as possible. So I don't think they'll ever integrate with a traditional.
No, I mean, I always thought it was cool that they had XML for Resolve and Premiere and Final Cut in the first place. So that was impressive. And they've had that, I think, since the very beginning. And that was one of the reasons we adapted it. I know I'm probably in the like 0.1% of users who are like more Resolve integration when like I'm sure 99% of their users are like, I just want to work in here and export. One of the other issues that I had with Descript was they had very limited export settings. So that was an issue we had too, where we would give it, maybe we shot on like ProRes LT or something that was like a decent bit rate, you know, higher than an H.264. But their export settings were very minimal and would compress it. And it was like, they're working with the original files. And so it was very confusing that they had such drastic compression.
They're outputting for YouTube. So
but it was even crap. YouTube can handle a lot. YouTube can take a 200 gigabyte file. You can give it ProRes 422 HQ.
Sure.
They will not yell at you. They will take, as long as it's under like 200 gigabytes, which is a massive file, it will take it.
And I think, super nerd out here, but I think YouTube has their own compression format. So no matter what you give it,
they will compress it anyway. Right. So even if you give it a compressed file, they will recompress it. So like there's the argument where it's like you should just give YouTube
the best thing
you can export that is under the file size limit.
Right.
and let them do its compression off the best file possible.
Correct.
Like, don't compress it yourself beforehand because they're going to compress it again anyways.
Then again, you are a professional filmmaker who's obsessed with quality versus the average YouTuber.
Right, the screen recording video of how to use our app is not really getting. I mean, they should care a bit because it's like you want people to see the details of the text on your screen recording.
Sure.
So it is important.
Right.
Descript might have updated their export settings because I'm going off the only exporting we do is export XML to send it to Resolve. So they might have improved that a bit. But yeah, that was one of the issues where we like fully, even like, like one of the reasons like we wouldn't do this podcast on Descript, even though it probably would be a bit faster because it's a very good podcast editor, was like the final output. We're shooting on pretty good cameras, but then it's like, if we're just going to compress it at the end, then like, what's the point?
Right.
Compression rant.
Descript rant. No.
But going back to Descript, I am excited to see the Vibe video editor.
Yeah.
And, it's cool that they're going to be one of the first to like kind of lead with that in an existing platform. We've seen some other tools like try to launch that are, AI video editing, but they're not already an existing platform that already has powerful timeline and video editing tools built in. So I'm cool to see how Descript goes with this.
And Descript is helmed by, somebody who founded Groupon, Andrew Mason. Mm-hmm. So it has really decent leadership. So I'm sure they know what they're doing at a product level and at a business level. So I'm curious to see where this goes.
Yeah. All right. Good point to wrap it up. Yeah. Links for everything we talked about at denoisepodcast.com.
All right, y'all. We'll see you on the next one.